Hello, welcome back to the coolest society of pioneering sounds. This is New Sounds Union. If you are new to this part of town, then our ambition is to shine a light on emerging music and chat to some lovely people in the process. Apologies if I sound a little congested. It's hay fever season and we're all having a party. But to the main thing of this week's podcast. This week, we speak to Manchester-based artist DBL A, who is carving out his own unique space in the realm of UK alternative rap. But before we dig into the interview, here are some of our top picks from New Sounds Union, the Substack, over the last few weeks. First up is Beautiful Hands by Big Fear, which is a synth-heavy, pulsating and disco-friendly dystopian nightmare of a track. In a good way, of course. And it sounds a little bit like this. Next is Exploding, with an exclamation mark, by World Cub, which is a wonderful slice of fuzzy psych rock from North Wales, which means it's already getting bonus points in my book, but it is very good nonetheless. Here we go. If you like the sound of those, you'll find plenty more music recommendations at newsoundsunion.substack.com. Without further ado, it's time for the headline act of the podcast, which is the Manchester-based rapper DBL A, aka Aaron Reynolds. With a focus on pushing boundaries and exploring new sonic territories, DBL A is making waves in the alternative rap world and beyond. First up, let's listen to a little clip of his recent single, Out Too Deep.
Spent most of my life chasing the light, doing the right thing. Out too deep when the tide's in. Me and my demise, back then I was not as wise as I'd ever been. Sick of all the games, but the prize was your medicine. If it's me versus me, in my mind, should I let him win?
Aaron, thank you very much for joining us here on New Sounds Union.
Thank you.
We'll get straight into it. Yeah, what kind of inspired you to start making music yourself?
From as long as I can remember, I've always been obsessed with music. You know, when I was little, I was dancing. I used to really want to be a dancer. And I used to, like, my mum would play a lot of like reggae, a lot of kind of like dub kind of stuff, as well as R&B. So I think singing and the emotional stuff, should we say, has been was my introduction to music. Yeah.
So it's kind of always been there, which I think is true for a lot of the people we speak to, understandably so. Yeah. When did you decide you wanted to create your own music then?
Before I was making music, there was always the urge to make music, not necessarily always like the tools or the confidence to do that. So it was when I moved away from my hometown and kind of found kind of like a group of people who were really like accommodating for, you know, trying new stuff. So it was mainly through like uni dorm rooms, freestyling over like YouTube beats and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of like the start of it all, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, obviously there's elements of rap and hip hop, but also, as you kind of alluded to, there's kind of soulful moments and jazz bits and in terms of the background. Was that something you always knew you wanted it to be a bit of an eclectic mix when you made it?
I feel like I kind of would make music as like a hobby for a long time, and for quite a while. It wasn't something that I would even really look at as like a serious avenue to take. I was just releasing stuff on like Soundcloud, just not really promoting stuff or anything like that. But it was only kind of as as I went along and kind of made more music, that I kind of was like, you know what, let's try some of this stuff, you know, let's kind of get a bit more vulnerable with it. Because I mean, I used to write a lot of poetry before I made music, I guess. So I think like those two things kind of go hand in hand.
And I think you can see that with your lyrics as well, that there's a lot that goes into them. And yeah, the joy of SoundCloud is because obviously you can just throw anything on there in a matter of seconds. You don't have to pay anyone. It's quite nice, that, quite freeing in a way. Yeah, I feel like SoundCloud's been around a long time, but it almost seemed like one of those formats that had maybe had its day a little bit to perhaps my generation, which might be slightly older than you. I don't know. But yeah, it felt like, especially when all the big streaming platforms became massive, that SoundCloud might disappear. But I think it's kept it, and it's kept quite an indie mentality as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's still like a lot of artists that do, you know, have that cult fan base through SoundCloud. So yeah, it's a great platform. So.
In terms of kind of the lyrical themes of your work, do you find there's kind of common denominators that speak through a lot of your work, or?
I still feel like I'm kind of yet to find my exact like sound. I feel like it's something that I'm constantly working on and evolving, whether that be like the subject matter of my lyrics or like sonically just the sound itself. I would say that the new stuff that I have is different. It fits all into the same world, but I do feel like it works. I hope. But yeah, I think it's difficult because I feel like one project maybe more sad, and then, you know, like this other group of songs maybe more kind of upbeat and energetic. So there's lots of different stuff.
When you're writing, you mentioned kind of you write a lot of poetry, so often you'll have the lyrics, you'll have the words first, and then the music kind of is added secondary.
I mean, for a long time I would go into a session like that, like perhaps like writing something beforehand, and it took me quite a while to kind of like get in the habit of not doing that and just writing everything within the session when everything's happening.
So when you recorded your Glasshouse EP last year, was a lot of that stuff done in the session itself, kind of off the cuff almost?
Yeah, B-Scene, my boy Jake, yeah, it was, we would just kind of hop in a session and be like, what are we going to do today, and see where we ended up. So
I don't know, I think the pressure would get to me. I think it's the talent to be able to walk into a studio and be like, all right, yeah.
No, it is something that, like I said, it took me a long time to feel comfortable doing that, and comfortable in my like writing abilities, should I say. So,
and that Glasshouse EP, which is excellent, I would recommend our listeners kind of have a go on that. That was in a studio rather than recorded at home, or a bit of both?
Yeah, all of that EP was just, again, recorded in a bedrooms. A lot of the people I work with, they're just friends, you know. So sometimes they'll just kind of be having a jam.
As you said, it kind of gives you a lot of freedom as well, and just means whatever happens. So obviously you had the EP last year, but you've had quite a few singles since then, and that was only last summer. Is that because it's kind of, you know, you're creating things and you're kind of putting them out fairly instantaneously?
Yeah, I think it's just like the volume of stuff that I have. I just feel like there's a lot to get out, so I'm just really focused on trying to get it all out as soon as I can, really. I
suppose it's a nice position to be in, as a kind of a independent musician as well. You do have that freedom to put stuff out as you like.
For me, like one of the most important parts of making any art is having the creative freedom over what you put out and stuff like that. I think it's really important. So,
and you've got another EP on the horizon.
Yeah. I do.
Which actually, by the time this podcast is out, it probably is also out. So yeah, tell us all about the EP.
Yeah. It's again produced by BC, who I put my last project out with. The way that we described it is just kind of, it's more refined, it's more concise in itself as a project. All in all, I feel like the last project was kind of me finding my sound a bit more, and I feel like this next project is definitely me honing in on that sound and refining it. Yeah, I'm excited to get it out.
Excellent. Yeah, well, we've mentioned the Glasshouse EP a couple of times, so let's play a little snippet from there. This is the opening track, Own Terms.
If it don't work out quite right, you can get it on your own terms. Yeah. If it don't work out quite right, you can get it on your own. If it don't work out quite right, you can get it on your own terms. Yeah. If it don't work out quite right, you can get it on your own. Suffering from setbacks, wing it through a set when all we saw was jet black, acting like a best friend. Time that I won't get back, kick it in my ends. Lately need to level out, dipping through the bends.
We spoke to you for the 5 minutes with interview on New Sounds Union. You mentioned that when you make a song, you kind of picture the visuals at the same time. So yeah, how does that come about? Tell us a bit about that.
I studied photography at like uni and art at college, so
Yeah.
I feel like I have naturally got this very kind of project approach to things that I make, whether it be like a single or an EP. I think it's so important to match like a visual with a sound and a sound with a visual. I think it just helps, you know, show what you're about as an artist.
Yeah, definitely. It gives it a cohesion.
Yeah. So I think as soon as we'll listen back to the tune, or I'll be there, kind of like, you know, like oh yeah, it sounds like somebody would be doing this. Or yeah. So. And
what about playing live? Is that something you've done much recently?
Yeah, I did my first show of the year actually at Ritual Union in Bristol, which was really fun. It was my first time playing there, so yeah, it was really cool. One of my main goals this year is to really get the live performances kind of more, just more. Yeah.
Because you can build so much traction, you know, from the confines of your bedroom nowadays.
Yeah.
But I think there is probably something still to be said for that live experience as well, especially when it comes to making new fans. Yeah,
for me, probably the most important, like outside of, you know, releasing on Spotify and Apple Music and stuff. I think I like kind of had my introduction into like grime through going to like Leeds Fest when I was like 16. So, you know, there was so many like artists that it was kind of like an eye opener. I was like, oh, okay, like. So yeah, since then I was like, yeah, live performances is really important.
What year was your first Leeds Fest? It's always a big question.
2016.
2016.
Fresh off my GCSEs, yeah.
Oh yeah, well that's the year people go, isn't it? That's what Leeds and Reading are made for.
Oh, yeah.
GCSE year,
yeah.
Ideally. Yeah, who do you remember from Leeds Fest 2016?
I remember BBK, like that is up there with like top performances I've seen. I've seen Skepta a few times since, but that BBK performance is up there. Stormzy was there, Big Nasty, yeah, like pretty much everyone.
It's always, and especially when you are kind of 16, it's a perfect age for listening to music anyway.
Yeah,
it feels new and fresh, and you feel like you're discovering it, and it's just exciting.
Yeah, definitely.
And then when you're playing live, is it kind of just you in a laptop at the moment, or would you like a live band involved in some capacity?
It's me and my boy will often be on guitar, so just kind of spice it up a little bit. The other day, I had another friend playing synth. You know, just trying to add little bits to the live performance that kind of beef it out and make it a bit more grand or whatever. So yeah.
Well, I mean, it obviously comes with added admin and organization, but you know, a live band in many formats is you can't beat it, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I suppose in terms of the year ahead, from releasing music, you've got the EP. Would you like to do a kind of a full length record in the future?
Yeah. Besides the next project, I've got like 2 other projects which aren't, you know, we're not quite decided on whether they're done yet, or whether we add more and go for that kind of more, like you say, like full length project. So yeah, it's definitely something that is always in my mind. But yeah, we'll see. You know.
Yeah, you've got a few things going, which is nice. And it sounds like, so obviously you kind of started making music with your mates, and you're still doing that today. But do you feel there's a nice music community or a scene that you kind of created through then finding other musicians through those mates and gigs and all of that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, I feel like in Manchester alone, that like just amongst my friends, my group of friends, there's so much like untapped talent and raw talent, and you know, it is very much a grassroots community, but just group of friends. Like, it's something that's so natural, I think, as well.
That's a good starting point for anything, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what's kind of in terms of venues in Manchester? Because was it Night and Day, which was potentially getting closed for quite a while? That was in the Northern Quarter, I think.
Yeah.
Because of noise complaints, because of new builds. But are there kind of a few venues for up and coming artists to play?
Yeah, there's quite a few. I'd say usually off the square, that's like, I think it's like £100 to book it out for the night, and that's like quite a hot spot for, you know, people who are wanting to, you know, put on like maybe their first show, their first gig, or just have a space where they can you know, rent it out for cheap and get people in through the doors, get people enjoying themselves. So that's a great spot. Another place, Stage and Radio, has been like quite an important place for particularly the grassroots kind of music scene in Manchester. A lot they've been putting on a lot of gigs, a lot of really like exciting up and coming artists around the city. So
nice. I'll have to make a trip back at some point.
Yeah.
Come out. As a podcast for music fans, but also kind of emerging artists as well, we do ask everyone if there's one piece of advice you'd give another DIY and up and coming artist, you know, to support them on their musical journey, what would that be?
I would say trust your gut, you know, trust your like creative instinct. If you feel like you want to make something but you're not sure, make it before you answer the question of being sure, you know.
Yeah, don't overthink it, because I can definitely think myself out doing lots of stuff. And then we also ask all our guests to recommend another artist as well. So if you wouldn't mind introducing the artist and the song, and then we'll hear a little clip of that as well.
Yeah, sure. So my artist would be Kai P. He's another Manchester-based rapper. His song "Thick as Thieves" is it's great. It's great. He's so talented.
Now, I was playing it earlier, but it is like some of your songs, just over 2.5 minutes. You're like, I could have done with a couple more minutes.
Teasers, yeah.
Mumsy told me seize the day, didn't seize the day. Everyone's a shepherd till it's time to lead the way. Rather sit in darkness, fresh my sins with no delay. Love all of my people, but I pray they don't betray. Had to slow it down like it's just another day. But we're back older, I'm a soldier through the plains. Curls card said, are you free? I said, sure. How many hours? 2, 3, not 4. Said I'll bring a big bag, we'll ride it.
Well, thank you very much, Aaron, for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Is there anything else you'd like to plug or promote, or where can people find your work on Instagram? Is that a good place?
Find me on Instagram. It's at DBL with 6 L's .A.
6 L's,
yeah.
just to make it really
6 L's, just to keep it nice and easy for you guys.
Nice. Excellent. Well, best of luck with the EP. As I said, it should be out now in the world. And all the best for gigs in the year ahead as well.
Thank you.
Cheers, Aaron. And there we have it. Thank you very much for listening to New Sounds Union. If you'd like to get in touch, drop us a super modern email at newsoundsunion@gmail.com, or you can find us at the New Sounds Union Substack for plenty more new music news. You can also subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.